Congratulations on your Cedar Summit playset. Your children will thank you as they stretch their imaginations in the fort, on the rock wall, or swinging on their very own playset. In just 2 days' time, you'll provide your kids with years of adventure and healthy fun. We'll take you through all the steps so your build goes smoothly and your family can enjoy time together. Start the build and get ready to watch your kids soar. Preparation. Your Cedar Summit playset is one of the easiest playset assemblies around, but you need to understand the process before you begin. Read your manual and watch this video first. The manual goes into detail and will help you prevent avoidable mistakes, so please take the time to familiarize yourself with it. The project will take at least 2 people and 2 days to build. More hands will move the work along even quicker. Be sure to fill out your box codes and tracking number on your stop sheet. You will need these numbers should you call in to customer support. Site location. Your finished playset will need a 31-foot 4-inch by 28-foot obstacle-free zone to accommodate swinging, slide landing space, and running area. Do not install your playset on hard surfaces such as concrete or asphalt. We recommend using a soft surface for the system such as wood chips, sand, or wood fibers. Please check your manual under Protective Surfacing Guidelines on page 3 for further tips and recommendations. Parts identification. Now that you're ready to build, lay out all the supplied parts and check them against the list in the manual. Sorting wood parts into each assembly step will save time. To help you with this, all wood parts are labeled with a key number. Wood parts are found in box 2, 3, 4, and 5. Open each box with wood parts and look for the key number stamped on the end of the wood part. The first 2 digits of the key number refer to the step number. The third digit represents the piece. If a piece is used in more than one step, the number only reflects the first step it is used in. The majority of each hardware part comes packed in a separate bag, so you don't need to sort the hardware. Each assembly step indicates which hardware, bolt, screw, washer, etc., you will require to complete the step. If you're missing a piece, please contact our customer service department immediately. The number is on the front of the manual. Do not contact the retailer as they will not have replacement parts. Tools. Before you begin, save some time and make sure you have the following tools: tape measure, carpenter's level, carpenter's square, claw hammer, standard or cordless drill, a number 1, 2, and 3 Phillips or Robertson screwdrivers or bits, ratchet with extension, 1/2 inch and 9/16 inch sockets, opened end wrench, 7/16 inch, 1/2 inch and 9/16 inch, an adjustable wrench, 1/8 inch and 3/16 inch drill bits, a pencil, a 3/16 inch hex key, safety glasses, an 8-foot step ladder, and adult assistance. Step 1. Access ladder, rock wall assembly. Place parts 010, the left access rail, and 011, the right access rail, next to each other with the grooves facing in. Fit the 012 treads into the grooves on both rails. Make sure the top edge of the treads are flush to the front of the access rails. Pre-drill pilot holes with a 1/8 inch drill bit and attach rails and treads together using 4 S3 wood screws per tread. Attach swing brackets to the inside top of both rails at the angled edge using 1 WB2 wafer bolt with flat washer and T-nut per bracket. Make sure the edge of the swing bracket is flush with the edge of the rails. Place the 013 ladder gap across both access rails so there is a 1-inch gap between the ladder gap and the top tread. Attach using 4 S3 wood screws. Place the 014 rock rail on the ground next to the access ladder assembly so it matches the 2 access rails. Attach the 015 ladder top to the top of the access ladder assembly and rock rail using 3 S3 wood screws. Notice that the holes in the boards are towards the top. Attach 1 swing bracket to the top angled edge of the rock rail, making sure the bracket faces out. Use 1 WB2 wafer bolt with flat washer and T-nut. Place the 016 access board at the top of the assembly and the 017 rock bottom at the bottom of the assembly. Then place 5018 rockboard A and 5019 rockboard B between the access board and rock bottom as shown in figure 1.7. Rock holes are to be staggered so they do not form a straight line and are at the top of the boards. Do not screw boards down yet. Make sure all the boards fit together snugly and the assembly is square. The rock board should be flush to the right access rail and rock rail. Now attach the access board and rock bottom using 4 S20 wood screws per board. Fasten all the other boards with 4 S20 wood screws per board. Measure 6 inches from the top of the left access rail and place the steel handrail on the board. Pre-drill holes using a 1/8 inch drill bit, then attach the long handrail to the access rail using 2 WL3 wafer lags with flat washer. Alternating colors and shapes, attach one rock to each rock board using 1 PB2 pan bolt with lock washer, flat washer, and barrel nut, and 1 S10 pan screw per rock. The pan screw is placed in the hole beneath the pan bolt. Make sure all hardware is used to secure each rock properly. Step 2. Long post assembly. Attach one large corner gusset to one 021 post long on the side indicated in figure 2.1. Attach using one WB7 wafer bolt with flat washer and T-nut in the top hole, and after pre-drilling with a 1/8 inch drill bit, insert one WL3 wafer lag with flat washer in the bottom hole. Make sure that the large corner gusset is tight and square to the posts. The top angles of the posts face away from the large corner gusset side that has not been attached. On the other side of the large corner gusset, pre-drill holes and attach to the post long with 2 WL3 wafer lags with flat washer. Repeat this step to attach a large corner gusset to the second post long. Step 3. Short post assembly. Attach one large corner gusset to one 031 post short on the short side using one WB7 wafer bolt with flat washer and T-nut in the top hole, and after pre-drilling with a 1/8 inch drill bit, insert one WL3 wafer lag with flat washer in the bottom hole. Make sure the large corner gusset is tight and square to the posts. The top angles of the posts are on the opposite side of the large corner gusset side that has been attached. On the other side of the large corner gusset, pre-drill holes and attach to the post short with 2 WL3 wafer lags with flat washer. Repeat this step to attach a large corner gusset to the second post short. Step 4. Attach floor end. Attach one 041 floor end between the two posts long with 2 WB2 wafer bolts with flat washer and T-nut per large corner gusset. Make sure the pilot holes in the floor end are at the top of the board and do not tighten the wafer bolts until a later step. Repeat this step for the post short assembly. Step 5. Attach floor front back. Attach one 051 floor front back between one post long and one post short with 2 WB2 wafer bolts with flat washer and T-nut per large corner gusset. Make sure that the center holes in the floor front back are at the top of the board and do not tighten the wafer bolts until a later step. Repeat this step for the other side. Step 6. Attach ground boards and lower posts. Attach the 060 ground front between one post long and one post short with 2 G21 hex bolts with flat washer, lock washer, and T-nut. The G21 goes in the bottom holes. Attach the 061 ground back between the remaining post long and post short using 2 G21 hex bolts with flat washer, lock washer, and T-nut. The G21 goes in the bottom holes. Make sure the extended end is on the post short assembly side. At the front of the assembly, attach two 0.62 post lower to the floor front back using one WB7 wafer bolt with flat washer and T-nut per board, and to the ground front using one G21 hex bolt with flat washer, lock washer, and T-nut per board. At the back of the assembly, attach one 0.62 post lower to the floor front back using one WB7 wafer bolt with flat washer and T-nut, and to the ground back using one G21 hex bolt with flat washer, lock washer, and T-nut. Keep all the bolts loose until a later step. Step 7. Door wall assembly. Place the 0.71 door wall panel in between the post long and post lower, making sure the top is tight to the bottom of the floor front back and the wall is flush to the outside face of the posts. From the inside of the assembly, attach the door wall panel to the ground front with 4 S15 wood screws using pilot holes in the bottom of the door wall panel as guides. Tighten the large corner gusset bolts from step 5 on the front side of the assembly and the bolts in the ground front from step 6. Make sure the assembly is square, and then in the remaining holes on the ground front, pre-drill using a 1/8 inch drill bit and attach two LS6 lag screws with flat washer. On the front of the assembly, make sure the space between both post lower measures 17 1/8 inches, and then tighten all 4 bolts as shown in figure 7.5. Install the 0.70 door top in the opening between both post lowers and flush to the front of the floor front back using two S4 wood screws. Place one 6-pane arch window in the door wall panel opening. Pre-drill with a 1/8 inch drill bit using the window as a guide, then attach with 8 S16 pan screws. From the inside of the fort, measure up 22 inches from the bottom of the door wall panel on both the post long and post lower and attach 2 corner brackets using 3 S13 pan screws per bracket. From these brackets, measure up 14 inches on the post long and post lower and attach 2 more corner brackets using 3 S13 pan screws per bracket. Attach the door wall panel to the floor front back with 2 offset brackets using 4 S13 pan screws per bracket. Secure the door top to the floor front back with 1 flat bracket using 3 S13 pan screws. Step 8. Back wall panel assembly. Place the 0.80 back half panel between the post long and post lower on the opposite side of the door wall assembly. Make sure the panel is flush to the outside face of the posts. The distance between the top of the panel and the bottom of the post should be 25 inches. Attach the back half panel to the ground back using 5 S15 wood screws. Place the 0.81 top cafe flush to the top outside edge of the back half panel. Then pre-drill holes using the pilot holes as a guide. Next, attach the top cafe using 5 S3 wood screws. Make sure the panel is flush to the outside edge of the post long and post lower. Then, from inside the fort, attach the back half panel to the top cafe, post long, and post lower with 5 corner brackets using 3 S13 pan screws per bracket. Placement should be according to figure 8.3. After making sure the structure is square, tighten all bolts on the back side of the assembly. In the remaining holes on the ground back, pre-drill holes with a 1/8 inch drill bit and install 2 LS6 lag screws with flat washer. Step 9. Sidewall assembly. Place the 0.90 SW ground against both post long. Make sure the holes are towards the bottom of the board. Starting at the left side, measure 18 3/16 inches from the bottom tip of the SW ground to the outside edge of the ground front. Check that the SW ground is square to the post long. Pre-drill holes with a 1/8 inch drill bit, then install 2 LS6 lag screws with flat washer on one end. Place the 0.91 half wall panel between both post long and from the inside, attach to the SW ground using 4 S15 wood screws. The front face of the panel must be flush with the front face of the posts. The distance between the top of the panel and the bottom of the post should be 25 inches. Place the 092 cafe top on top of the half-wall panel, then pre-drill holes with a 1/8 inch drill bit using the pilot holes as a guide. Next, attach the cafe top using 4 S3 wood screws. Make sure the tops of each panel are at the same height. Now, after pre-drilling holes, attach the SW ground to the other post long using 2 LS6 lag screws with flat washer. Make sure the panel is flush to the outside edge of both post long, then from inside the fort, attach the half-wall panel to the cafe top and both post long with 4 corner brackets, using 3 S13 pan screws per bracket. Step 10. Wall assembly. Place the 100 ground divider between 2 posts lower, making sure the edge of the ground divider is tight against the ground back and ground front. Make sure the ground divider is square to the posts and install 2 S15 wood screws on one side only. Place the 091 half-wall panel between 2 posts lower and from inside attach to the ground divider using 4 S15 wood screws. Make sure the height of the panel is the same as the previous panel. The distance between the top of the panel and the bottom of the post should be 25 inches. Measure 7 inches down from the top of the panel and attach the panel to the front post lower with 1 flat bracket using 3 S13 pan screws. Secure the half-wall panel to the back post lower with 1 flat bracket using 3 S13 pan screws. Place the 092 cafe top on top of the half-wall panel, then pre-drill holes with a 1/8 inch drill bit using the pilot holes as a guide. Next, attach the cafe top using 4 S3 wood screws. Make sure the screws go into the vertical strips in the panel. On the front post lower, install the 101 doorstop tight to the bottom of the cafe top with 4 S15 wood screws. From the inside of the fort, attach the half-wall panel to the cafe top with 2 corner brackets, using 3 S13 pan screws per bracket. Now attach the ground divider to the other post lower using 2 S15 wood screws. Step 11. Attach cedar diagonals and ground side. Place the 110 ground side against both posts short, making sure the holes are towards the top of the board. Pre-drill holes using a 1/8 inch drill bit. Then install 4 LS6 lag screws with flat washer. Attach a 111 cedar diagonal to each end of the SW ground with 1 G8 hex bolt with flat washer, lock washer, and T-nut per side. Make sure to keep the bolts loose. Pre-drill holes and attach the cedar diagonals to each post long using 1 LS6 lag screw with flat washer per diagonal. Now tighten the hex bolts from earlier in this step. Step 12. Gusset assembly. Make sure the assembly is square. Then, tighten the bolts which connect the large corner gusset to the floor ends on both post short and post long sides of the assembly. At the 3 corners indicated in Figure 12.1, pre-drill pilot holes with a 1/8 inch drill bit into the floor end, floor front back, and the posts using the 120 gusset as a guide. In the pre-drilled locations, attach the 120 gusset to the floor end, floor front back, and the posts using 2 LS6 lag screws with flat washer per gusset. At the 4th large corner gusset, repeat these steps on one side only. Attach the large corner gusset to each gusset using 1 WH2 wafer head screw per large corner gusset side. When you come to the large corner gusset over the door wall panel, pre-drill and attach with 1 WH2 wafer head screw. Step 13. Floor frame assembly. Attach the 130 floor joist to the inside of both floor ends using 2 S4 wood screws per end. Make sure the floor joist is flush to the top of the floor ends. Place one 131 gap board at each end of the fort and attach to both floor front back and floor joist using 3 S20 wood screws per board. Step 14. Install fort ground stakes. Move the fort to its final location prior to staking. The final location must be on level ground. In the 3 places shown in Figure 14.1, drive the rebar ground stakes 13 inches into the ground against the boards. Be careful not to hit the washer while hammering stakes into the ground, as this could cause the washer to break off. Attach the ground stakes to the boards using 1 S7 pan screw per ground stake. After driving the stake into the ground, check for sharp edges caused by the impact of the hammer. Smooth any sharp edges from the impact area and touch up with outdoor paint. Warning: to prevent tipping and avoid potential injury, stakes must be driven 13 inches into the ground. Digging or driving stakes can be dangerous if you do not check first for underground wiring, cables, or gas lines. Step 15. Floorboard assembly. Place one 150 floorboard next to each gap board, flat on the top of the floor front back and floor joist. Starting at the post short side, place 4 151 floorboards followed by 1 150 floorboard and then the remaining 5 151 floorboards. Make sure boards are evenly spaced but have less than a 1/4 inch space between each floorboard. Attach all floorboards to the floor front back and floor joist using 5 S20 wood screws per board. Step 16. Swing wall assembly. Attach the 160 SW wall to both post long with 2 G22 hex bolts with flat washer, lock washer, and T-nut. Install 2 WB7 wafer bolts with flat washer and T-nut to the inside holes of the SW wall. These bolts do not attach to anything but must be installed to minimize checking. Step 17. Front frame assembly. On the front of the assembly, attach the 170 left lower front to the post short and the 172 right lower front to the post long using 1 G21 hex bolt with flat washer, lock washer, and T-nut per board. Keep these bolts loose. Make sure the bolt holes in the left lower front and right lower front are at the top of the board. Pilot holes are at the bottom and the tips of the angles are towards the top. Attach the left lower front to the 171 mid post with 1 G21 hex bolt with flat washer, lock washer, and T-nut. Notice that the angle on the mid post faces the post short. Make sure to keep the bolt loose. Attach the 173 wall support to the post short and mid post with 2 G21 hex bolts with flat washer, lock washer, and T-nut. Make sure to keep the bolts loose. The bolt holes in the wall support should be at the top of the board. Using the window as a guide, pre-drill holes with a 1/8 inch drill bit. Then install 2 6-pane arch windows in the openings of the 174 full panel with 8 S16 pan screws per window. Make sure the left lower front is level, then place the 174 full panel between the post long and mid post tight against the lower front boards and floorboards. From inside the fort, attach the panel to the lower front boards with 6 S15 wood screws. Measure 23 inches up from the floorboards on the post long and mid post and attach the full panel to each post with 1 corner bracket per post, using 3 S13 pan screws per bracket. Make sure the panel is flush to the outside edge of the post long and mid post. Make sure the mid post is flush to the edge of the floorboards and then attach the mid post to the floorboards with 2 corner brackets, using 3 S13 pan screws per bracket. Make sure the left lower front and right lower front are level, and then attach to the floor front back with 2 S15 wood screws per board. Next, tighten all bolts in the left lower front, right lower front, and wall support. Step 18. roof support assembly. Attach one 180 left roof support to one 181 right roof support at the peak using one S4 wood screw. Make sure the roof supports are tight to each other. The countersunk holes must face the same direction. Repeat this step to have two complete right and left roof support assemblies. Attach the 182 L roof support to the 183 R roof support at the peak using one S4 wood screw. Make sure the roof supports are tight to each other. Notice that the L and R roof supports are the shorter of the support boards. Step 19. Attach roof support assembly. On the outside of the assembly, attach one left roof support to the mid-post and one right roof support to the post long with one G21 hex bolt with flat washer, lock washer, and T-nut per board. Make sure the countersunk holes face towards the outside of the assembly and keep the bolts loose. On the outside of the posts, attach the L roof support and R roof support to the post shorts with one G21 hex bolt with flat washer, lock washer, and T-nut per board. These bolts should be tightened. Place the 190 lower roof between the left and right roof supports so the bottom of the lower roof is flush with the bottoms of each roof support. Attach the lower roof to each post and each roof support with 4 S3 wood screws. Now, tighten the bolts on the left and right roof supports. From outside of the assembly, install one WB7 wafer bolt with flat washer and T-nut to the post long in the hole shown in figure 19.5. This bolt does not attach to anything, but must be installed to minimize checking. Install one WB7 wafer bolt with flat washer and T-nut to each post short in the hole shown in figure 19.8. These bolts do not attach to anything, but must be installed to minimize checking. From the inside of the assembly, attach the full panel to the lower roof with 6 S15 wood screws. Step 20. Small roof assembly. Place one 202 roof block on the 200 roof board A with the angled edges facing up. The edge of the roof block should be flush with the beveled edge of the roof board A. Attach the boards together with one S20 wood screw at the beveled edge side. Do not add a screw to the opposite end until later. Place one 202 roof block on the 201 roof board B with the angled edges facing up. The edge of the roof block should be flush with the edges of the roof board B. Attach the boards together with two S20 wood screws. Pre-drill a pilot hole using a 1/8" drill bit and attach one S3 wood screw through the roof board A into both roof blocks. Above the opening for the door, in the space between the left lower front and the right lower front, through both roof blocks, attach the small roof assembly to the floor front back using one S3 wood screw per board. Place the door roof grill on both 203 roof trims so the edges of the grill are flush to the outside and peak of each trim. The rounded edges of the roof trim should be at the bottom of the grill assembly. Attach the door roof grill to the roof trim with 4 S13 pan screws. Place the door roof grill assembly to the underside of both roof board A and roof board B so the roof trims are tight to the roof boards. Pre-drill pilot holes with a 1/8" drill bit, then attach using 3 S20 wood screws and 1 S3 wood screw. Step 21. Door assembly. On the inside of the 210 door panel green, measure 16 1/4 inches up from the bottom and attach a catch plate using 2 S18 wood screws. On the inside of the door panel green above the catch plate, attach one door handle using 2 S13 pan screws. On the outside of the door panel green, attach the second door handle at approximately the same place as the one on the inside using 2 S13 pan screws. In the window opening of the door panel green, insert the green small window from the outside and attach with 8 S13 pan screws. Attach 2 door hinges on the outside of the door panel green on the opposite side from the door handle. Judge the spacing of the hinges based on figure 21.3. Use 3 S13 pan screws per hinge. In the notched-out opening of the doorstop from step 10, attach the magnetic catch using 2 S18 wood screws. Be sure to use a handheld screwdriver and do not over-tighten. In the opening for the door between both post lowers, measure 5/8 of an inch from the top of the ground front and 5/8 of an inch from the post lower on the door hinge side and attach the remaining sides of the hinges to the post lower using 3 S13 pan screws per hinge. Step 22. Back frame assembly. Keeping the bolts loose, attach the 220 top back to the post long and post short using 1 G21 hex bolt with flat washer, lock washer, and T-nut per side in the top holes. The arch should be on the post long side. Attach the top back to the mid post with the angled edge facing the post short using 1 G21 hex bolt with flat washer, lock washer, and T-nut in the top hole. Keep this bolt loose. Attach the 221 long lower wall to the mid post and post short using 2 G21 hex bolts with flat washer, lock washer, and T-nut. The notched out end should be on the mid post end and facing down. Keep these bolts loose. Attach the 222 short lower wall to the post long using 1 G21 hex bolt with flat washer, lock washer, and T-nut. The notched out end should be facing down and inwards. Keep this bolt loose. Make sure the midpost is flush to the edge of the floorboards and then attach the midpost to the floorboards with 2 corner brackets using 3 S13 pan screws per bracket. Check to see that the distance between the notched out edges of the long lower wall and short lower wall measures 38 7/8 inches. Next, make sure all boards are level and then tighten all bolts in the top back, long lower wall, and short lower wall. In the remaining holes, pre-drill with a 1/8 inch drill bit and attach the top back to the posts using 3 LS6 lag screws with flat washer. Attach the long lower wall and short lower wall to the floor front back with 3 S15 wood screws. Attach the second roof support assembly from step 18 to the post long and mid post with 1 G21 hex bolt with flat washer, lock washer, and T-nut per post. Place the 190 lower roof between the left roof support and right roof support, so the bottom of the lower roof is flush with the bottoms of each roof support. Attach the lower roof to each post and each roof support with 4 S3 wood screws. Step 23. Rope wall assembly. From the inside of the fort, measure 1 1/2 inches down from the top of the lower roof and 21 inches in from the inside edge of the post long on the back side. With the cutout at the bottom and facing the mid post, attach the 230 rope wall board to the lower roof and top back with 4 S20 wood screws. Tight to both the post long and mid post and tight to the floorboards, attach the 231 wall boards to the top back, lower roof, long lower wall, and short lower wall on the inside of the fort with 6 S20 wood screws per board. Notice the holes' locations are towards the bottom of the boards. From the outside of the fort, place 1 232 window spacer flush to the inside edges of the rope wall board and wall board. Attach from the inside of the fort with 3 S20 wood screws per spacer. Tight to the first rope wall board, attach a second 230 rope wall board to the lower roof and top back with 4 S20 wood screws. Make sure the tops of each rope wall board are flush and the cutouts form a perfect hole. From the outside of the fort, place 1 232 window spacer flush to the inside edge of both the rope wall board and attach from the inside of the fort with 3 S20 wood screws per spacer. Place the 233 rope support over both rope wall boards so the holes line up, then attach with 4 S20 wood screws. Step 24. Attach windows and hand grips. On the back wall of the fort, install 2 6-pane arch windows from the outside to the lower roof, window spacers, and top back, using 8 S16 pan screws per window. Attach 1 hand grip to each wallboard in the open holes, using 2 PB1 pan bolts with flat washer, lock washer, and T-nut. Step 25. Attach access ladder rock wall assembly. Remove the access board from the access ladder rock wall, previously assembled in Step 1. Set the board and screws aside. They will be reattached. Place the access ladder rock wall tight in the notched out area of the long lower wall and short lower wall. Pre-drill holes with a 1/8 inch drill bit and attach to the floor front back with 1 WL3 wafer lag screw with flat washer in each swing bracket. Next, reattach the access board to the same place from which it was removed. Step 26. Attach climbing rope. Feed the rope through the hole in the rope support. Then, tie a double knot in one end of the rope. Tie 3 single knots evenly spaced in the rope. Feed the rope through the hole in the rock bottom and pull tight. Remove the rock bottom to tie off the rope securely with a single knot. Reattach the rock bottom to the rock wall assembly and make sure the rope is tight. Step 27. Swing wall assembly. Measure 13 inches up from the top of the SW wall. Place the 270 SW top between the 2 posts long and pre-drill holes with a 1/8 inch drill bit. Then attach the SW top to both posts long using 4 LS6 lag screws with flat washer. Flush to the tops of the right lower front and short lower wall, place the 271 SW wall support between the 2 posts long and pre-drill holes. Then attach the SW wall support to both posts long with 2 LS6 lag screws with flat washer. Step 28. Attach wall boards. Lean 5 280 wall boards between both posts long. Make sure the space between the boards are even and do not exceed 3 3/8 inches between any 2 boards. The wall boards should be tight against the floorboards and the beveled edges should face out and up. Attach the wall boards to the SW wall and SW wall support using 4 S20 wood screws per board. On the back side of the fort, lean 3 280 wall boards between the post long and mid post. Make sure the spaces between the boards are even and do not exceed 3 3/8 inches between any 2 boards. The wall boards should be tight against the floorboards and the beveled edges should face out and up. Attach the wall boards to the top back and long lower wall using 4 S20 wood screws per board. Repeat this process to attach 3 280 wall boards on the front side of the fort. Do not over-tighten the screws. Check to make sure the tips of the screws do not protrude through the other side of the wood. If there is any protrusion, back the screw out so none exists. Step 29. Large roof panel assembly. Place the 290 large V panel on its edge and have a helper hold it so it is stable. Starting flush to each bottom edge of the panel V, carefully attach 4 roof valley pieces, 2 per side, with 6 S16 pan screws per roof valley. Lean the large V panel against the 291 large square panel so the large V panel overlaps the large square panel. Attach the 2 panels together with 6 S15 wood screws, 3 per side. Lift the large roof panel assembly onto the fort and place it on each left-right roof support assemblies, so the large V panel faces the post short assembly and the pilot holes are centered over the roof supports. Attach the large roof panel assembly to each left roof support and each right roof support with 8 S3 wood screws. Step 30. Small roof panel assembly. Lean the 300 right roof panel against the 301 left roof panel, so the right panel overlaps the left panel. Attach the 2 panels together with 6 S15 wood screws, 3 per side. Lift the small roof panel assembly onto the fort and place it on the L roof support and R roof support, resting it on the roof valleys of the large roof panel assembly. Attach it to the remaining holes in the roof valleys. The small roof panel assembly should overhang the L and R roof supports by approximately 1 inch. The 2 lower screws should be placed 5 inches from the bottom of the panel. The 2 upper screws should be placed 5 inches from the peak of the panel. See figure 30.5 for accurate placement of screws. Once holes are pre-drilled, attach using 4 S3 wood screws. Step 31. Starburst assembly. From inside the fort and tight to the peak of the left-right roof support assembly on the back side of the fort, place the 310 Starburst A and attach it to the left roof support and right roof support centered on the lower roof with 4 S20 wood screws. Tight to the top of the lower roof and centered on the outside of the Starburst A, attach the 311 Starburst center with 2 S20 wood screws. Measure 11 3/4 inches down from the inside peak on either side of the Starburst A and mark the location with a pencil. Attach one 312 Starburst B at each marked location to the Starburst center, and then the roof supports, with 3 S20 wood screws per board. Measure 23 1/2 inches down from the inside peak on either side of Starburst A and mark the location with a pencil. Attach one 313 Starburst C at each marked location to the Starburst center, and then the roof supports, with 3 S20 wood screws per board. Repeat this process to build a second Starburst on the front side of the fort. Do not over-tighten the screws. Check to make sure the tips of the screws do not protrude through the other side of the wood. If there is any protrusion, back the screw out so none exists. Step 32. Sunburst assembly. On the inside of the post-short roof support assembly, measure 22 inches down from the inside tip of the assembly and mark the location. Measure both the L roof support and the R roof support sides. Line up the top of the 320 Sunburst bottom with each mark and attach with 2 S20 wood screws. From the outside of the fort, measure 1 1/2 inches up from the bottom of the Sunburst bottom. Center lengthwise, and then attach the 311 Starburst center from the inside of the fort with 2 S20 wood screws. Place the 321 Sunburst A small tight to the top and center of the Sunburst bottom, so the top is in the peak of the roof support assembly. Attach to the Starburst center, L roof support, and R roof support with 3 S20 wood screws. Place one 322 Sunburst B small on either side of the Sunburst A small, tight to the top of the Sunburst bottom, and attach to the Starburst center, L roof support, and R roof support with 2 S20 wood screws per board. Do not over-tighten the screws. Check to make sure the tips of the screws do not protrude through the other side of the wood. If there is any protrusion, back the screw out so none exists. Step 33. Crow's Nest lower frame assembly. Attach one 330 crow's nest bottom side to the inside of each post short, using 3 S3 wood screws per side. Each board is to be flush to the back edge of the post and tight to the gap board. Attach 4 333 crow's nest joists to the 332 crow's nest front and the 331 crow's nest back, using 4 S4 wood screws per joist. Attach this assembly to each crow's nest bottom side using 3 S15 wood screws per board. The bottom of the assembly should be flush with the bottom of the crow's nest bottom side. The crow's nest front should face out and the crow's nest back should face towards the fort. Make sure the frame is level, then attach one 334 crow's nest gusset flush to the top of the crow's nest front, to each of the interior crow's nest joists on the outside of each joist using 1 S7 pan screw per gusset. Attach each crow's nest gusset to the crow's nest front in the remaining holes using 2 S4 wood screws per gusset. Measure 11 3/8 inches from the inside edge of the post short and attach the floor end to 1 crow's nest gusset using 2 S4 wood screws. Measure 13 inches from these screws and attach the floor end to the second crow's nest gusset using two S4 wood screws. Step 34. Crow's nest upper frame assembly. Attach one 340 crow's nest SL top to two 341 crow's nest uprights using two G8 hex bolts with flat washer, lock washer, and T-nut, making sure the notched ends are facing out. Attach one 342 crow's nest short to the crow's nest SL top using six S15 wood screws. Attach the bottom of each crow's nest upright to the crow's nest front using two G8 hex bolts with flat washer, lock washer, and T-nut. Attach one 343 crow's nest side to each post short using one G21 hex bolt with flat washer, lock washer, and T-nut per post. Keep the bolts loose. Attach the other side of the crow's nest side to one side of the crow's nest SL top using two S3 wood screws per side, and then tighten the bolts in each crow's nest side. Next, lay down the 344 crow's nest gap flush to the front of the crow's nest front, and lay the 345 crow's nest floor flush to the back of the crow's nest back. In between these boards, place two 346 crow's nest floor. Attach the floor and gap boards to each crow's nest joist using six S20 wood screws per board. Attach one 347 crow's nest wall to one crow's nest bottom side and one crow's nest side using three S15 wood screws. Repeat for the other side. Place one 348 crow's nest face to the front of each crow's nest upright and attach from the side of the crow's nest wall using three S3 wood screws per board. Attach both crow's nest uprights to the crow's nest face from the inside of the fort using three S15 wood screws per board. Measure 3 inches from the edge of the crow's nest wall and attach one 349 crow's nest rail to the crow's nest bottom side and crow's nest side using four S15 wood screws. Make sure the beveled edges face up and out. Repeat for the other side. Step 35. Attach heavy T-bracket to fort. Attach the heavy T-bracket to the SW wall using two WB7 wafer bolts with flat washer and T-nut. Step 36. Swing beam assembly. Attach six heavy-duty swing hangers to the 360 SW engineered beam using two G13 hex bolts with two flat washers, plastic formed washer, and lock nut per swing hanger. Next, attach one quick clip to each heavy-duty swing hanger. Install four WB7 wafer bolts with flat washer and T-nut to the SW engineered beam as shown in figure 36.3 and 36.4. A wafer bolt does not get installed on the swing side of the SW beam. Make sure all four bolts are attached. They will minimize checking of wood. Step 37. Swing post assembly. Note, keep all the bolts from step 37 loose until the start of step 39. Place the 370 angle SW block on top of the 371 SW block and attach two heavy L brackets on top of the angle SW block, feeding two G17 hex bolts with two flat washers, plastic formed washer, and lock nut through both boards. Next, attach three WB7 wafer bolts with flat washer and T-nut to all three holes in each 372 SW post. Important, make sure all six bolts are attached to minimize checking of wood. Place the angle SW block and SW block assembly in between two SW posts, heavy L brackets towards the outside. Place one heavy G bracket on the top of the SW post and attach it with one G23 hex bolt with two flat washers and one lock nut. Attach the cedar summit plaque to the center of the SW engineered beam, over top of the T-nut, using 4 S18 wood screws. Place the SW engineered beam on the T-bracket and attach it to the fort with one G17 hex bolt, with 2 flat washers, plastic formed washer and lock nut, and one G18 hex bolt, with 2 flat washers, plastic formed washer and lock nut. Place the SW engineered beam end without the wafer bolt from step 36 in between the heavy L brackets assembled earlier, making sure the holes are lined up. Then attach the swing post assembly to the swing beam assembly using one G14 hex bolt with 2 flat washers and lock nut through the heavy L bracket. Attach the SW engineered beam to the heavy G bracket with one G17 hex bolt with 2 flat washers, plastic formed washer, and lock nut. Step 38. Attach cross support. Check to make sure the SW engineered beam is level and the bottom of the beam to the ground measures 85 inches. To adjust for uneven ground, raise or lower the 380 cross support on the SW posts. Make sure the cross support is level prior to attaching with the lag screws. Place the 380 cross support between the SW posts at the previously determined spot and pre-drill holes with a 3/16 drill bit. Next, fasten the cross support with one LS9 lag screw with flat washer per side. Notice one side is fastened on the outside and one on the inside. It is important that each side is positioned exactly the same as the diagram seen in figure 38.3. Tighten the lag screw when you are sure the cross support is level. Attach one WB7 wafer bolt with flat washer and T-nut to the cross support through the middle hole. Important, make sure the bolt is attached to minimize checking of wood. Step 39. Final swing post assembly. Tighten all the bolts from step 37 before continuing. First, pre-drill with a 3/16 drill bit and attach one LS9 lag screw with flat washer into each SW post. Next, pre-drill, then attach one LS9 lag screw with flat washer into the remaining hole of the heavy G bracket into the SW engineered beam. Step 40. Attach swings. Using one threaded clip per chain, join one long swing chain to each side of the swing belt seat. Make sure to close the threaded clip tightly using an adjustable wrench. Using one threaded clip per chain, join the short swing chain to the acro bar and acro handle. Make sure to close the threaded clip tightly using an adjustable wrench. Attach the other end of the swing chains to the quick clips attached to the swing hangers.